From enduring unforgiving conditions while mining for gold to reaping the rewards of their efforts, here's why Parker Schnabel's crew's salary will shock you. Watching Parker Schnabel and his crew get to work, some may think that it is just about the search for gold. Maybe that is why they seem so dedicated to the job. Who wouldn't get their hands on all that gold? That said, there are others who are of the belief that they are only doing it for the paycheck. Then again, how much could someone get paid to be out there searching for gold for so many backbreaking hours? Surely either the scorching heat or the freezing cold, depending on what time of the year it is that they are out there, would make some reach their breaking point. With that being said, we must really ask if this work is really worth it, because we see Parker Schnabel and his crew out there time and time again doing the backbreaking work. What is the reality of Parker Schnabel and his gold mining team? Let's find out for some time now. Parker Schnabel and his crew have been one of the most popular crews on the Gold Rush TV show. Sweet man, that was definitely worth the struggle. That's got to be the best cleanup Big Red's ever had. Yeah, it is. There's just something about watching them take on the daunting challenge of mining for gold in places such as the Yukon, as exciting as it is to watch them extract that beautiful gold from the mines. It does beg the question of how much these guys make at the end of the day. Surely they must be swimming in a lot of money. No one would undertake such a difficult task if the reward wasn't worth it, right? Apparently, in the latest season of Gold Rush, Parker and his crew were actually able to extract a whopping 73,800 ounces of gold. Many of us would be stunned to hear that this meant that they extracted almost $15 million worth of gold last season. Sounds like a handsome fortune, right? Well, the money sounds great, but when you pair it against the salaries and other expenses which have to be paid so that the mining crew could remain operational, that $14.7 million the 73,800 ounces of gold got them doesn't sound so much. Also curious about what Parker is making a year and what his net worth is, then you definitely should watch this video. Let's also remember that as difficult as gold mining is, there is no guarantee that they will strike gold. Indeed, them getting so much gold just shows how good and lucky Parker Schnabel and his crew are. At the end of the day, everyone is putting a hard shift in, and as such they are all just hoping that at the end of the day all their effort would be worth it. With that in mind, it would be interesting to see how the proceeds of the gold haul is split among the crew. That's like the biggest one we've ever had, isn't it, dude? Oh yeah, well, this is definitely a record breaker. From Parker as the head of the crew to the engineers and operators who feed the pay dirt into the slewing machines, it's clear that everyone's job is demanding. Well, some of you guys may be surprised to hear that the base salary for a crew member for the team is about $14,000 for half the year. This may sound really low, especially when you hear that these guys are basically performing 18 months worth of work in just 6. Add the long shifts and the minimal amount of days they take off during such a tiring schedule, and you'd be even more puzzled as to why anyone would accept such a gig. Well, it turns out that when you take a closer look at it, the average wage per hour comes to about $28 per hour. Add the fact that they basically work for about 75 hours per week. It seems as though the money they make every season comes to about $65,000 or so. That's even before they get their bonuses. Not too bad, right? Mind you, that's just the base salary earner on the crew, not to talk about those who may be a bit higher up on the pecking order. What's even better about working for bosses like Parker is that he is known to be one that is generous with those bonuses we mentioned earlier. The more gold they get, the more they have to take home. Let's also remember that their income is solely based on how much gold they are able to extract from the ground. As they are featured on the Gold Rush TV show, their income is supplemented by how many appearances they make on TV depending on their role on the show and the screen time they are able to muster by the end of the season. In fact, certain key figures on the show can make anything between $10,000 to $30,000 per episode. And considering the fact that there are about 20 episodes of the show per season, it's fair to say some of these guys are walking away with a pretty penny when the season comes to an end. Let's also remember these guys free housing and meals during the mining season. Think about the children. Sure, this means that they would have to spend several months away from their family and friends, but thanks to such benefits, they are able to soften the blow of being away from their loved ones by saving a good chunk of their income. That said, we know that saving a ton of money can never be enough to supplement the time lost with loved ones. Add the fact that they would still have to work many hard hours while having to endure sharing these tight quarters with their work colleagues, and it is clear that they are still making a lot of sacrifices to be out searching for gold with Parker. Speaking of having to work many hard hours, many of the members of Parker's crew have to endure 12-hour daily shifts with barely 2 days off to top off a rather difficult work schedule. Add the unfriendly weather they have to endure depending on the time of the year that they are out there, and you'd find that mining for gold is no easy gig. Even if you get a ton of bonuses, we know the saying, no pain, no gain, but sometimes it is difficult to accept that one has to work so hard when you add the tight accommodation space to the mix, such a space which offers little to no privacy. And you may be able to see how many may start the season with Parker and his crew, but few ever really make it to the end of the season. Let's not even forget the fact that there is always a chance these guys have to endure a plethora of machine damage and malfunction. Such problems make the already long shifts of what proves to be dull and repetitive schedules difficult to stomach a lot of the time. To make matters worse still, these guys barely get any breaks during these shifts, with some stating that the only real rest they get is the one they get when they finally collapse onto their beds at the end of the day. Looking at how repetitive such a schedule is, we are again forced to wonder why anyone would choose to do this. Surely there can be better jobs out there, right? Well, one thing is clear, and it's that those who are able to come back out there with Parker season after season are clearly made of stern stuff. Somehow they are able to maintain the morale that would keep them going. We have 754.9 ohms. Cheers, guys. Best ever. Some may even say that things are made easier with the presence of a good cook on the team, as delicious meals may be able to keep the soul fulfilled. Parker himself has acknowledged the contribution of such a good cook, but he also knows that he is also able to do what he does with his team because they have been able to develop a strong, unspoken bond over the years. They have come to rely on each other not just to get through the difficult task of mining for gold, but also to help each other survive through such a tasking lifestyle. With such a bond, Parker is sure that he can trust his men to get to work while he carries out his own side of the bargain. Speaking of Parker's role, his is one that comes with the huge burden of making sure that the financial risks of the operations paid off. That is his role as the leader of this outfit, and he knows that if he doesn't play his role right, he will suffer failure. Then again, he also knows that he has anything between $600,000 to $1 million to make if he and his men strike gold while they are working in the mines. Add the sponsorship and business deals that he's been able to make along the way, and it's clear that Parker is as competent as they come. With any luck, he will be able to remain on top of the game when it comes to mining for gold. Hopefully his team will continue to follow him from enduring unforgiving conditions while mining for gold to reaping the rewards of their efforts. Here's why Parker Schnabel's crew's salary will shock you. Want to see more gold? Subscribe now and join the hunt for lost treasures, hidden riches, and legendary gold discoveries.